15 child actors who were totally destroyed by Hollywood. Hollywood is a place where dreams can come true. Everything that you've ever dreamed of could be right in your hands. Plenty of children dream of becoming a famous celebrity and head to Hollywood thinking that they'll be the next big thing. For a lot of them, they get exactly what they're looking for: big bucks and recognition. But some child actors have a hard time dealing with all the fame, and that dream starts to crumble. When that happens, oftentimes, the celebrity gets involved in drugs and alcohol and is seen partying in clubs. It's the kind of situation that can destroy not only a young actor's life but his or her career as well. When child stars become famous, the pressure can be insane, and not everyone can handle it the same way. It can be even worse if they don't have a proper support system and have to deal with a dysfunctional family. There can be a high price to pay for young stars when the cameras are flashing. If they can't deal with it, trouble will ensue. There are many young stars who've lost their way in Hollywood. There are so many tragic souls out there that lost their way and never really recovered from it. These are some cases of the ones that went down the wrong path and lost the fame that they worked so hard to get. 1. Danielle Fishel. Danielle Fishel became famous while on the popular TV show Boy Meets World, a show that she practically grew up on. She disappeared from Hollywood after she was caught drunk driving one night. It was a shock to everyone because she appeared to be a sweet and innocent girl, and no one could imagine that she would ever make such a stupid decision as to drive home drunk. She didn't have the same downward spiral as Lohan, but it did change her career. It was a slip-up on her part, but she disappeared soon after that and never returned to Hollywood until recently when the TV show Girl Meets World was released. She instead went off to have a family and said goodbye to Hollywood. We're glad that her life did straighten out, for the most part, and it didn't go as badly as the rest of them. 2. Dana Plato. Dana Plato was one child star who got totally messed up by Hollywood. She started her career in commercials at the age of 7 and got her big break on the TV show Different Strokes when she was 13. The pressures of fame started to take their toll on her, and she started using cocaine with CO stars Todd Bridges, Gary Coleman, and Charlotte Rae. To the shock of producers, Plato ended up pregnant and was kicked off the show. She married the father of her child, but that union didn't last very long because of her drug use, and she also lost custody of her son. She went from being on a hit TV show to working in B-rated movies and eventually starring in adult films. Her life continued to spiral out of control as she found out that her accountant had embezzled her savings. She was broke and no longer had a career in Hollywood. Plato died at the age of 34 due to a drug overdose, and it was later ruled a suicide. Her son also killed himself at the age of 25 by shooting himself in the head with a shotgun. 3. Corey Feldman. We remember Corey from 70s flicks such as The Goonies, Stand By Me, and The Lost Boys. Those are the movies that made him famous. But being a child actor can be hard, and he succumbed to the pressure and started doing drugs and got into drinking while he was filming Stand By Me with River Phoenix. That turned into an addiction to sex, heroin, and cocaine. He had multiple drugs arrests over the years, which led him to rehab in 1991. His career was shot, however, and he would never recover from it. When he got out, he had over $200,000 in legal fees, so he did shows like The Two Coreys and a few B-rated movies to pay the bills. These days, he's in a band called Truth Movement, which he started in the 90s, and they released an album called Still Searching for Soul in 1999. I've had probably some of the darkest, most depressing times anybody could imagine. But in the end, I'm a positive guy. 4. Matthew Underwood. Matthew literally spent his whole life in the industry as he started modeling when he was only 6 months. He spent his childhood in roles such as a bully in Method and Red and a tough kid in Just Us Kids. He grew up playing plenty of extreme sports such as parasailing, surfing, and skydiving. He landed a role as a teenager in Zoe 101 for 4 years. After the TV show was over, he returned to Florida, where his family lived, and that's where his life started taking a turn for the worse. He was arrested in 2012 for possession of drugs, and there was a search warrant applied to see if there were narcotics in his home. Not sure how that will bode for his career, as Nickelodeon will not approve of such things. He hasn't been seen back in Hollywood since, and these days, he works as an acting teacher. 5. Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes seemed to have the Hollywood industry in the palm of her hands. She was a child actor that went on to star in many films such as Easy A and Hairspray. She was also a hit on TV with shows like All That and What I Like About You, and she even had her own TV show, The Amanda Show, named after her. These threw her right into the spotlight. She became one of the most popular actresses in Hollywood at that time. However, in 2012, things started turning for the actress when she announced that she would be retiring from acting. People were shocked because she seemed to be doing so well. She quickly went downhill as she was charged with a DUI when she crashed into a police car. 5 months later, she was charged with not 1 but 2 hit-and-run accidents, and then later in the year, her driver's license was suspended. She spent a lot of time in court, just like Lohan, and she would show up for appearances looking bizarre. The last straw came when she started a fire in front of a friend's house and was put in a mental health treatment center. She has literally done nothing with her life in the past 7 years. 6. Tatum O'Neal. Tatum O'Neal is the daughter of the legendary actor Ryan O'Neal, so she grew up already in the limelight before her own career started. She was one of the youngest actors to receive an Oscar for Best Actress in Paper Moon when she was only 10 years old. She went on to make a few more films, which only added to her fame. She had a hard time dealing with all the fame even though she had been around it since she was born. She started using drugs and alcohol at the shockingly young age of 9, and it wasn't long before she was addicted to heroin. That was pretty much the end of her career and a waste of all her talent. She was arrested in 2008 when she was caught buying crack. Thankfully, she eventually went to rehab in 2012 and wrote a memoir. These days, she's slowly returned to acting and made a few films such as Squirrels to Nuts. 7. Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin rose to fame quickly in movies like Home Alone and The Good Son. He was cute and mischievous, and everyone loved him. In 1995, Culkin found out that his own father was mismanaging his fortune, and it was wasting away. He went to court against his parents who fought for control over his money. That alone would do a lot of damage to a child. He started spiraling out of control and got involved in drugs. In 2004, he was arrested because he had half an ounce of pot on him. The press ripped him apart even though smoking weed, especially these days, isn't that big of a deal. People had a hard time separating the cute little boy from the man who was caught using drugs. His career took quite the hit, and we didn't see Culkin for years. These days, he's performing with his cover band called Velvet Underground. Who knows if he'll ever come back to the big screen. 8. Lindsay Lohan. She's been working since she was a little girl in films such as Parent Trap and The Wonderful World of Disney. She made quite a splash in Hollywood in her teens as a healthy and sexy redhead, making a quick name for herself in films such as Mean Girls and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. She became one of the most popular actresses in Hollywood at the time and even started dating that 70s show's Wilmer Valderrama. It must have been hard going through puberty while being in front of the camera, and it wasn't long before we all saw some cracks in her veneer. She started acting up and even showing up to her movie sets acting like a diva and upsetting her co-stars. It wasn't long before she was experiencing DUIs and ending up in court. She had a drug problem, and before you knew it, no one would hire Lohan again. It was such a waste of a talented actress.